How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
The Manage Smarter Show is brought to you by SalesCred, the sales skill building solution that empowers sales teams worldwide to multiply sales opportunities by improving perception, accelerating trust building, and by earning repeat business. Get the best-selling book by C. Lee Smith, download the free mobile app, and now sign up for the SalesCred Masterclasses. Book your session now at salescred.com. Welcome to the Manage Smarter podcast with hosts C. Lee Smith and Audrey Strong. We're glad you're here for discussions on new ways to manage smarter, hire, develop, and retain talent, improve results, and propel team performance to new heights. This is the Manage Smarter podcast.
One thing I don't think we've talked about on this show, and it's almost like the elephant in the room, Lee, is, okay, so you're selling, you have your products and services, you got your ICP, your rock star salespeople, and everything's cranking along. And then like you realize that you're not really hitting the goals, and stuff that you're selling is not, nobody's buying it, or they're buying it not at the level you think they should. What's wrong? What's wrong?
Well, there's a slowdown in the economy at the time of this recording. That you have to deal with. The B2B sales cycle has only gotten longer. In many categories of business, it takes more people, than it used to, than to make a decision to spend any kind of money, and so that certainly impacts sales. But but there's a few other reasons why this may be happening, and I hope today's guest will shed some light on that.
That's right. Welcome to Manage Smarter, everyone. I'm Audrey Strong. I'm the Vice President of Communications here at Sales Fuel.
And I'm C. Lee Smith. I'm the CEO of Sales Fuel.
All right. So Stephanie Nivinskus is going to solve all your problems on this topic.
In just 20 minutes.
In just 20 minutes. So the CEO of SizzleForce Marketing. What a great name for a company. An agency that helps scaling companies get noticed and attract more clients on a daily basis. Since 1995, she's developed and executed brand building campaigns for companies including Starbucks, NFL, Quiksilver, and thousands of small businesses. A Story Brand certified guide, and our listeners know what Story Brand is. We did a whole podcast on it. And certified partner of digital marketers, Stephanie has written for Forbes and Entrepreneur, as has Lee, Entrepreneur. And she is the author of the international #1 bestseller, Absolutely Unforgettable, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Heart-Centered Brand and Standing Out in a Noisy World. Stephanie, thank you for coming today. You're coming to our rescue.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. This is such a thrill to be on your show.
So where do we start? I mean, so stuff's not, what's the canary in the coal mine where somebody comes to you and says, I don't know what's wrong. Like I've done all the best practices.
We think we're doing everything right.
Yeah. What are we doing wrong?
Okay. So I think there's 5 potential explanations. So, okay. Explanation number 1, why more people aren't buying what you sell. Your message isn't resonating with them at an emotional level. It might resonate with them at a logical level, but it's not getting to the heart. And I can dig into all of these in just a minute with more detail if you'd like.
Okay.
That's the overview of number 1. Number 2 is you're giving up too soon. Okay. Number 3, you lack social proof. Number 4, you're promoting features, not benefits. And number 5, you're not giving people a good enough reason to get off the fence and make a decision.
Well, certainly on that last one, the biggest objection that salespeople face basically is not necessarily the competition, not even necessarily price. It's not, the biggest obstacle is, I'm fine doing what I'm doing. I don't need to make a change. I don't have to do anything. So it's like that 5th one that bites a lot of people. You want to start there? Yeah, let's start in reverse order.
Let's reverse engineer it, right? You know what? There's a reason why coupons forever have had expiration dates on them. There's a reason why every time you go to book a flight these days, it will say only 2 seats left, right? There's a reason why there are deadlines on things and why people say, well, the cart is closing tomorrow. That is all because we need to have a sense of urgency to get us off the fence. People are procrastinators by human nature. We just are, right? And the busier we are, the more distracted we get. We have 15,000 things pulling for our attention all at the same time. And so if you really want to get my attention and get me into a place where I'm going to make a decision, you got to give me a reason to like zero in on it and be like, okay, wait, it's decision day. Okay, this has to happen and this has to happen now. Or I have to be willing to deal with the consequences of not making a decision.
Right.
Yeah, and consequences is the one thing that salespeople, sales managers, I think don't focus enough on, because it's like, we talk about the benefits. Oh, you'll be able to do this. You'll be able to solve that problem. You'll be able to look good in front of your boss, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. But, people go to the dentist when their tooth hurts, much more so than just going in for the regular checkup and their cleanings and everything like that. Some people do, but most people don't. And so, I think that's a very good point.
We buy when we're in pain.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the pain, whether or not it's a life-threatening pain or a physical pain, like you're talking about, like my tooth hurts, or it's an emotional pain, or it's just pain of simple inconvenience. It's the simple pain of, this is frustrating to me. It can, there's a wide range of a pain level. Nonetheless, pain is pain. People don't like pain. People put Band-Aids when things hurt, right? People put Band-Aids on, right? Some people will dress the wound. Some people will get surgery. People treat it in different ways, but we have to agitate pain. And we also have to give people a sense of urgency to solve the pain.
Interesting. Well, how do you overcome the objection if you have a product or service that is something that requires the person to learn a new process or a new software or a new whatever, and they just, I don't want to have to change what I'm doing and learn something new?
Well, what's it cost not to do that, right? What's the cost of inaction? Okay. Because there's a reason that you're even considering this new software. There's a reason you did a demo of it. There's a reason that you looked at the website. There's a reason you made the call. There's something ignited your interest in it. Why were you even interested in it to begin with? What's happening? If your solution that you have right now is so awesome, then you wouldn't be looking around, right? Let's be real, right? So I think that, when people say things like that, our job is to, mitigate the concerns of overwhelm, mitigate the concerns of, excessive time commitment, or, this is going to cause all kinds of problems with my staff. And, it's a much bigger thing. It doesn't only affect me, it affects my whole department, which affects all the other departments and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to say, look, here's the pain point that you had originally that made you interested in this software. And if you continue to use this, you're going to continue to experience this pain point, and it may get worse. And are you ready for that? If you're okay with that, then you know what? You shouldn't jump the fence, right? You should stay right where you're at and do it, knowingly that that's the decision you've made, and good for you. I wish you all the best. Okay.
So number 4 was features, not benefits. And I think that's something that a lot of people are familiar with. We all know it, but sometimes we still do it. I don't want to belabor that point. I want to jump right into the next one, because that's near and dear to my heart. When I talk a lot about sales credibility, I talk about social proof as it relates then to the salesperson, but the company's credibility also then, or the product's credibility, actually impacts the salesperson's credibility. And even if it's a company that the salesperson no longer works at, it shows up on the LinkedIn, it shows up on the customer roles and what people say about you from the past. And it's like, if you work for a dubious company, or a company that doesn't have a great reputation or a great brand, it rubs off on you the wrong way. So it's like, let's talk about lack of social proof.
Yeah. So, I am a firm believer that social proof is the reason that most of us do many of the things that we do, right? Have you ever been to a site or a conference or, whatever, a car dealership. Okay. You're going to buy anything, whether it's B2C, B2B, doesn't matter. Okay. And you'll see something or you'll hear something where they say, well, join 29,000 other fans that have eaten breakfast here. Right. Or, 1
million Elvis fans can't be wrong.
right. Or even, going on LinkedIn, looking at someone's profile, going on Google and seeing, their Google business page, and they have, 11,000 positive reviews, right? Or you have 78 personal recommendations on LinkedIn or whatever it is. Okay.
Right.
There's something about this, all ties back to human behavior, right? Mm-hmm. All of these things. There's something about when we see a crowd doing something else that makes us say, oh, I'm feeling FOMO. What's happening over there? Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I was in New York City 2 days ago, right? And I was in Times Square, which is a complete and total zoo at all times of day, right? So I'm hanging out, I'm walking in Times Square. My husband and I are just cruising around, taking in all the sights. And then we see this huge circle of people in the middle of Times Square, right? And everybody is cheering and hooting and hollering. And we're like, what's happening over there? Okay. Now, if Times Square is ADD on
oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
ADD overdosed on steroids.
That's what I was looking for, on steroids. It's ADD on steroids times a billion, right? But all of these people were gathered in this one circle looking at these two street performers, and they were hooting and hollering. And so what did we do? Did we go to the 15 billion things that were trying to get our attention in Times Square? No. We stopped and I was like, what's happening over there? We got to go look at that. Oh, look at those guys. Oh, wow. They're good dancers. Oh, wow. You know what, babe? You should give them a tip. Throw some money in their guitar case. One thing led to another, right? It is human nature. We see other people doing something and we subconsciously start to believe, they're probably into something. They're probably onto something. And I don't want to miss it. So
nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. And I harken back into the days that whenever they would release a new iPhone at the Apple Store, and there'd always be the long lines there, and you'd see the long lines, and then they would cover the long lines on the news, so everybody was familiar with. Look at all these people lined up to get the latest iPhone. Oh my God, maybe I should upgrade mine. So it's like that stuff really works, and it works online as well as it does in real life.
Yeah. So I always tell people, I'm like, you've got to make securing social proof part of your marketing strategy. And you have to be very intentional about it. You can't leave it to chance if someone's in the right mood to leave a recommendation or a review that's in your favor, right? You need to go after it intentionally and asking people, if you're on a Zoom call with a client, you have a sales rep that's on a Zoom call with a client, right? Or an account manager that's helping someone do something, right? And if the client is in this place where they're so happy with your product or service and they're like, oh my gosh, I just love it. It's so great. It's helped me in this way and that way and the other way. And they're like, oh, that's great. I'm so happy it's helping you. Okay. That's when you say, hey, would you mind if, could you just repeat that? Say that again. And could I have your permission to share this little clip with other people? And I do this all the time when I am working with my clients. And because people are in their happy place, they're already praising the solution that you provided for them. They're like, oh yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah. I'd be happy to let you share that. And so I'll just be like, and then the next thing out of their mouth is, let me go put my lipstick on, or I don't, can I do it later? I'm not wearing the right clothes. And I'll say, no, you know what? I want you to be authentic. I don't want a professional production with a review, right? I want something that looks like you're a real person in a real scene, because that's believable, right? So yeah, that is key. Get social proof and go after it intentionally. Don't just wait for it to happen by chance.
Love it.
So,
Oh, go ahead,
number
Lee.
two. Yeah, number two,
number two.
is interesting. I've had some thoughts on this one. Giving up too soon. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so 2% of sales come after the first meeting. That's a statistical fact. Okay, 2%, right? If you meet with a prospect one time, getting the yes that you're looking for, and then giving up and and I should say not getting the yes that you're looking for, and then giving up and starting over with someone else, you are leaving tons of money, tons of opportunity on the table, right? So there's another stat, only 20% of leads are followed up on, 20%, which is shocking. So what happens to the other 80% of prospects that we have, right? Well, I guess your competitors are getting them, right? Like, wait, what?
Or you're disorganized and you don't work your CRM in a methodical way.
Or you're sending them over to marketing then to hit them up with emails and try to warm up the leads there as you think they're cold. So
yeah. So, I mean, salespeople, 44% of them give up after one no. 22% give up after, I should say another 22% give up after two no's. After three no's, another 14% give up. After four no's, another 12% fall off, right? Literally, there's 8% that are willing to do the job for 5 or more attempts to make a sale.
Yeah, so there's another angle to that, though, in the fact that some of the best salespeople that we consult with and we work with are impatient, and so what happens is it's like they'll do the 5 to 7 to 9 touches and everything like that, and if they keep getting no's and everything like that, at some point in time you have diminishing returns and you're throwing good time after bad time, and the better salespeople then know when to cut bait and then move on to something else. And what you were saying is like some don't know when to cut bait and they cut it too soon.
Right.
But it's like at some point, but also other bad salespeople, whatever, just keep calling and calling and calling, on people that are never going to buy, or they don't have the urgency, they don't have the budget, they don't have the need, or maybe they just don't trust you.
Right.
But it's like and they just keep banging their head up against the wall. And so there's got to be that happy medium right there in the middle when sticking with it long enough to get the results, but also then realizing you're not going to get the results and move on to something else that will get you the results. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. There is a balance. There's a fine line to walk there on when you need to, I think it's an intuitive thing for a more experienced salesperson.
Yes.
Like you can tell when somebody is actually interested in their objections are legit and something that you can overcome, versus they're just making excuses because they're afraid to say no, or they're just not answering you at all. They're ignoring you and you don't exist. You know what I mean? So totally. I think we just need to get really, really, really good at listening to people and hearing what they're saying to us and being like, is this a legitimate objection? Or is this an excuse from someone who has a hard time saying no?
I'll give you a good example of that. I had to buy a car last week because I got in an accident. And there's a lot of dealerships that want you to buy a car sight unseen. They don't even have it on the lot. You can't test drive it. Well, you don't know from me sitting down, but Lee knows I'm very tall. I'm Scandinavian. I'm 6'1". I can't buy a car I haven't sat in. And
imagine a giraffe behind a steering wheel.
A giraffe behind a steering wheel is what I tell everybody. And this guy kept calling from this dealership. And finally he got I said, I told you, I said, listen, I am not buying a car I cannot test drive, period. End of story. And he went away and he hasn't bothered me since, because there was no way he could get around that. It was a total dead end. And I appreciated him taking the cue that, we're just going to agree to disagree. He initially tried to talk me into buying it and then taking it home. And I'm like, why would I do that? It's a major Anyway, we got a couple minutes left. Let's go to number 1. This is perfect. We got all 5 in 20 minutes. I love it. So
this is an area where you and I actually have a common interest, because I do a master class on selling with AI and EQ. And, the thing that I noticed about it and all the work I've done, no matter how you write the prompts and everything like that, it's like it has, good IQ, good enough to pass some test and everything like that, but very limited EQ. And, as salespeople, as managers, as human beings, it's like, we can't sacrifice then our ability and our desire to be human, because it's so critical in sales.
90% of purchases are based on emotions. So if we are not appealing to the emotions, well, good luck. Right? My husband always argues with me every time he hears me say that. He's like,
No,
I don't buy based on emotions. That's a woman thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so wrong, bro.
Okay, so prove him wrong. Okay, so what would be your retort to that?
Okay, so here's what I'll give him all kinds of examples of when he did buy on his emotions, right? But I will tell you, I think I'm a firm believer there's 5 emotional motivators that prompt people to pull out their wallet over and over and over again.
Okay.
First one is pride, right? If a specific purchase is going to make them look smarter or faster or richer or better than somebody else, they might be inclined to buy it if pride is a core motivator for them, right? Another one is they want their life to get better in some way, right? Now, if this is their life at work, if this is simplifying a process at work or making them able to do something they couldn't do before, or it's buying, something personally, right? You got a new car accident, you need a new car, right? It's going to make your life better if you have a car, right? That will be a motivator. Okay. If we go back to looking at Maslow's hierarchy
of needs, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's something that all of us studied in college, maybe some people even in high school, right? It all revolved around the things that motivate people to take action. Don't blow that off as just like college theory, right? It's actually true, right? That sense of belonging, that's another huge motivator. If somebody feels like, oh, well, this is why people are able to sell masterminds, like join my professional mastermind for $50,000 a year, because you want to be in the club, right? The fourth one is security, right? If someone feels unsafe, if something is making them insecure, that's going to make them buy. And then the last one is fear. It's FOMO, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to look stupid. No one wants to miss out on an opportunity. Nobody wants to feel unwanted. I think that fear is the most powerful motivator, right? So when you show your ideal clients that your product or service will help them obliterate their fears, you're on the brink of a sale, or 20.
Or 40.
or a billion.
Let's be exponential, shall we?
Yes, that's right.
This has been great. Stephanie, it's SizzleForce.com is your website. And how do you like people to reach out to you? You've also got a Facebook and a LinkedIn. Stephanie Nivinskus is your LinkedIn.
Yes. LinkedIn is great. Come to the website, follow us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. But LinkedIn is kind of my playground right now.
And you're a fractional CMO. You want to hit us up real quick with what that entails?
Sure. Yeah. A big corporation has all the people in the C-suite, the CFO, the CEO, whatever. The CMO is the chief marketing officer. Smaller companies usually don't have a budget for a CMO, but they have a desperate need for a CMO to come to the table with the strategy and the big picture vision of how to grow the company. And so as a fractional CMO, I do that on a part-time basis for multiple companies. So you get the same level of talent that you would if you had an in-house CMO, but you get to share me at a fraction of the price with other companies. And there you go.
Fantastic. So if you'd like to reach out to Stephanie, that's how you do it. And boy, this has been great. So everybody analyze all the great info and the 5 elements and, figure it out. She's just given you all the tools you need. Stephanie, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Go make yourself some money now.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at salesfuel.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.